The shrill creaking of the timbers as the stately vessel rocked steadily back and forth as the waves rolled beneath it awakened Adakis from his slumber. Pale light streamed through the deck of the ship above him, and he rolled over on top of the rough cargo sacks. The tossing of the waves was somewhat violent, and he wondered what the skies above deck would look like. Composing himself and running a few hand strokes back through his matted hair, he rose from his place and found his way up to the deck. As he suspected, gray clouds dotted the sky, and the dark sea was troubled with thrashing swells. Across the deck, men were scrambling to and fro, fastening down cargo and furling the sails. Orders and high whistles rang out from all directions, but were quickly overtaken by the harsh wind. And from some unseen place, he heard the captain's voice, hoarse with orders, calling out his name. He glanced around him in all directions before he spotted him on the upper deck, motioning for Adakis to join him. The upper deck was a small overlook above the captain's quarters. King Santiago paced there, glancing down at Adakis with impatient eyes as he carefully ascended the ladder. When he had pulled himself up onto the deck, a wave crashed against the port side of the ship, and a spray of salt mist dusted the air, and was carried away by a sharp breeze. As the wave struck, the ship lurched to the side, and the two men stumbled onto the deck. For a moment, white rolling tides washed over the lower deck and covered the timbers like a swirling white blanket before washing to the side as the ship rose upright again. King Santiago crept across the deck on his arms and knees to where Adakis had tumbled, and raising his voice to shout of the storm as he said, "We've lost 2 sails already, and I've heard we're taking on water below deck." "I should be below to help the men bail the water out," Adakis answered, turning on his heels. But the king argued, No, there's no point. The ship is old. There's no saving it." "What are you saying?" Adakis questioned, noticing the dread in the king's eyes. He reached out his hand and pointed to the pulley ballast mid-deck, where a small rowboat dangled over the water. "My daughter is in the cabin below us. Take her away from here. This ship will be resting on the icy sea floor in a matter of an hour." "What of you, sir? What of the crew?" Adakis questioned, fighting back emotion from his eyes. "Take the princess away from this place. That is what I ask. Concern yourself with nothing else," he said firmly, folding his hands behind his back and turning away, gazing over the side at nothing in particular. Unable to argue, Adakis lowered himself down the ladder and stood before the door to the captain's chamber. He knocked his fist against it gently, sighing deeply as he realized what he was doing. Rachel opened the door and looked curiously out at Adakis as he stated, "Your father orders that you are to come with me. I advise you to bring any belongings you do not wish to lose." The order had been her father's, so she did not question it. Taking a moment to gather what few things she had left into a small pouch, she joined Adakis on the deck, gazing about her as the men darted to and fro, trying to make repairs. King Santiago watched sternly from the overlook, calling out one last time, "I shall join you in Callister if I am able to. May the goddess watch over you." Never parting gaze with her father, Rachel followed Adakis as the two were seated in the rowboat, and it was lowered into the water. While he had waited for Rachel, Adakis had filled a satchel with some rations from below deck, which rested now beside his feet as he began rowing away from the sinking ship, wondering just how much tragedy the goddess would force him to endure.